Welcome to the CyberJA podcast, the place where we discuss all things cybersecurity and GRC. I am Richard Perry, your cybersecurity and GRC enthusiast. The aim of this podcast is to provide a meaningful value-added platform via which upcoming cybersecurity professionals like yourself can gain insights from various topics covering cybersecurity and GRC that will enable them to become professionals that the industry demands. Stay tuned for what next on the CyberJA podcast. On CyberJA today, October 9, 2023, we have an award-winning IT and OT technology security technical product manager, researcher, and advisor who, in my opinion, has a dynamic career and which I'm really interested in hearing about. So today we are talking about Jasmine Suarez. Jasmine, nice having you on CyberJA today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great, likewise, and I definitely look forward to our conversation. And based on your involvement and your presence on LinkedIn, it does speaks a lot about you in terms of your involvement, the value that you have actually been adding to the community, and it speaks a lot. So I mean, kudos to you on all that you have been doing so far. So um, when I look at all that you have actually been doing, can you let us have some insights into the background, the genesis of your career? And the reason I ask that, have you always been a technical person, IT person, or a cybersecurity person?
So funny when I speak and I travel on my road show, I call it. I always tell people no. I had no. My dream wasn't I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be a cyber pro. And no, I was doing things such as tech support. Working more so every job I had in the beginning of my career, and I'm talking about like before undergrad, and everything. I was always really interested in creating. So I thought I would be a front end developer, honestly. I was always, I had a lot of great leaders and they were always saying, hey, I don't know, use Adobe Suite to develop stuff for us, or do this, or build me a website. And so I was always thrown into it. And from that, I really became like immersed. And what changed the game for me is I went to Adobe's Max conference in California in 2014. And I learned about this whole like IT thing, like my footing in IT and how I can leverage like my passion for the arts and design. If you know me, I'm really into drawing, painting, and things like that. So that's what got me into it. And prior to that, I thought I was going to be a nurse. That was just part of the course, like, my family and whatnot. So I thought that's what I was going to be. And then something clicked, and I met so many amazing people at this creative conference. Satya Nadella was there, Microsoft CEO, Adobe CEO was there. So it was like very immersive. And I said, like, man, I want to find my footing here. And that's what started it all. And then from that, I got into more IT. I started doing like teaching courses on basic IT things. And so that's pretty much how I got going. Then I moved into IT support. And then from IT support, I'm like, why do we have to why do I have to secure this thing? Like, why do I have to do it? And I'm the person that I'm just always going to ask, like, why? Why? And once I started figuring out that, I'm like, okay, there's something here that my obsessive interest in research nature on just things in life can really benefit. And that's really what got me into cyber. And then from all of my jobs, I always had some role interacting with security teams, whether that be audit prep or whatever it was. I started really immersing myself with those people and being attached to different projects. And then it started going from there and there. And then you have where we are today. And so I definitely didn't have like, yes, I'm going to do cyber. However, now I absolutely love it. And there's nothing else that I'd rather do than doing cyber, and then different aspects of cyber as well. And now that I'm not really like coding or doing anything like that, now I'm more so on like the advisory side and doing workforce stuff and research and things like that. Now I've kind of like found like my home within cyber.
Awesome. And it's so, I mean,
based on all that you have actually said, there are so many things in between all of this. I know for sure there had to be some amount of involvement in terms of deciding what to do, what not to do, what courses to take, where do I need to get training, who do I need to consult to ensure that I'm actually on the right path. And you have actually made mention of something very important is the fact that there are so many people who have actually gone into cybersecurity. And it's surprising that they never had that intention of actually being in cybersecurity. And I've always shared the fact that for me, I mean, well, back then it wasn't cybersecurity, it was as IT, all was just pulled into one thing as the IT guys.
Yes.
All of this. So I'm coming from a technical background. My interest was architecture. That's where my passion was. And
Wow.
I actually found myself based on a course that I was doing. I mean, found myself working around the IT guys back then, seeing how they actually put the various computer systems together, and it piqued my curiosity, and that curiosity drive my passion for learning, wanting to know more, and that's how I've actually reached. But going back to you, can you shed some light in terms of looking at all those career roles that you have actually gone through? How were you able to move from one point to the next in terms of your career journey?
The key secret sauce to that is using my voice to tell what I wanted. And that was when I wasn't sure, when I was sure, even today. Now I'm more confident in myself and what I would like. Even back to the career question, I always say to like my mentees, my students, I'll be with them this week. And I always say, find what you love and then find out how to do it in cyber. And once I was able to communicate, to my prior managers, my mentors, my that became sponsors and my coaches, I talk about these in my speeches. That is when I began to see like a connection. They were like the bridge. I used to run track. So in track, when you're doing the relay, you have your baton and you pass it to the next. They were like that last member on the track team that would pass that baton and open that door for me, like blast it open or create that door or just really hype me up. They were my hype man and they put me in front of, very influential people. And because of what I did, it wasn't just, that's my homegirl, it was, some of that, but it was because that's my homegirl and she can deliver and she's committed, she's trustworthy. And I had built those relationships with people. And I always give the story of, back in, let's just say 2015, I started volunteering with the Python organization, knew nothing about Python. I actually started volunteering at that conference during like the student labs. And so I was learning too, but I was helping. And I always made sure regardless of what I knew or didn't know, I went into these environments. Those are where I found my mentors, references for jobs, all types of things. And now I'm a donor. I do call for proposals for this same group, like, years later. And so that's what really helped me. It was putting myself out there, sharing my desires, even when I didn't fully know. And then people were able to steer me like, hey, okay, well, that's not really that. You should go this way. You should take this course, and this is when you should do it. And these are who you should look at, organizations to join, or who should help you. That's pretty much how it was. It was people. It wasn't everybody said, what's the top thing in cyber? I'm like, your soft skills, your communication skills, the relationships you build. That is what's needed in this type of field that requires a lot of emotional intelligence, discipline, abstract thinking, linear thinking. You need to build relationships to learn off people, to mature, to grow, and just have people always there ready to, toss you to the next baton or to the next post to get you where you need to be. And that's what I attribute that to.
Awesome. And you've actually started, I like that the way you've actually put that forward. Now, there are so many people who are actually trying to move or get into cybersecurity, and they might have that particular tunnel vision, meaning that this is what I want to become. And regardless of what you say, my mind is focused on becoming a pen tester, and that's it. What's your thought in terms of, you made something very important, is that you um got involved in various volunteer projects and you actually made yourself known. What's the value of volunteerism and all of these in terms of actually getting that level of support and mentorship with guiding your career path, instead of
So,
actually just having your mind focused to say that this is what I want to do. And if this is not what I get, then it's almost like you do not know how to pivot or to navigate your way.
so I would say the people, the connectors that you need, it's no problem to say, I'm intentional. I want to work in the SOC, and if in SOC, I don't know, I want to go up to being a CISO. There's no problem with that. However, if you are so linear in a field that is expanding exponentially, and combining with other fields like AI or something like that, you will limit yourself. And when you see people around you get those experiences where they're diversifying, you will be upset because though they're meeting people that will be instrumental and help expedite their linear goal if they have it, but you're not going to be able to really learn. My goal especially when I was like a technical PM in the federal government, I made it a point to learn what everybody did. I didn't care what it was. And then one of my favorite relationships I built, like the ISSM, ISSOs, because I knew I loved GRC. I loved it. And I got my hands on it, led ATO, stuff like that. And so it helped facilitate that process. And so if I stayed on my course and said, I'm just going to be an IT PM and then maybe a section chief one day and a lead program manager, portfolio manager, how would I have met those people? Like, how would I have built those relationships that really helped me mature as a professional as well in my competency building? You don't realize, and then some people may hear like, oh, I just want to work in the SOC. That's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. They may be, dang, I really saw something in him or her or them. And, I wish, they said they're not interested. So let me pass on this opportunity or this to the next person. So you can be intentional about what you want, but don't be so rigid because you don't know what opportunities you're missing. And there's, in 5 years, I don't know. I'm very intentional about what I'm doing, but in 5 years, there could be a new job that I'm creating for myself. My current job, actually, I should update my LinkedIn. I actually left the Senate with my program 2 weeks ago, but my new job that I have now is pretty much something creative for a need. So your job can be created for a need, but if you are focused on a traditional title, especially in cyber, because they change so much, you may lose opportunities, and more so the people that can lead you to better opportunities than you could have ever imagined. That is like the story of my career.
Awesome. And the reason why I've actually asked you that question is exactly what you have just said before. I've come across so many people is that they are so tunnel vision, they're so linear, as you have mentioned, that even when opportunities are presented to learn and to immerse themselves into various opportunities, volunteer. At times, you might want to get into a particular job role, and that job role is not a paid role, but at least volunteer, build a relationship, learn something. And all of these things will eventually add to building your skill set into becoming that which you want to actually achieve. I mean, I can attest to that. I mean, talking about where I am right now, I mean, I've gone through being an IT technician, network administration, until now, I'm actually into GRC, where I'm actually, that's cybersecurity, where I'm actually finding my passion in terms of where my strengths are in terms of my abilities. So looking at your profile, can you shed some more light in terms into your experience? I mean, as it is summarized on your profile, and I mean, I believe that you would do a far better job. When I look at it, I mean, it says that you're known for creating measurable results that supported digital transformation in industry and executive branch, and the list goes on. There's so many things. Can you shed some more light into all that you have actually stated, not to mention STEM industry, all of these things?
Yeah, so a lot of my work, I would say, is leading things, illuminating. So, I don't look at it as like, I just had this one project, I just had that. My job was to go in and I was a part of projects, but it was to illuminate and make processes better, shed light on things. If you have a partner and they've been working on something for 10 years, they may not see something different, but I always respect that and just build our intellectual infrastructure, if you will, to help make things better and use, and if you know me, in the government, I always share, it's so valuable to use diverse experience, diverse perspectives, diverse backgrounds, all of what I have, and bring that into the table to help make things better for the greater good of all, which is why I love being a public servant and doing things supporting a public servant. My recent experience, in the Senate, the things that I was able to create, a wonderful team, supporting the majority Senate, His GAC Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, writing technology policy, helping do hearings, being in the thick of it, and the highest level that I feel like I could, as a profession, as far as change in the law. It was very, leading my projects helped me to do that, because we do FISMA, looking at different things and working next to the person that, part of the group that writes the FISMA, or updates the FISMA. It was very surreal to me to being a year ago implementing FISMA and going through SSPs and, contingency planning. It was very surreal. And so taking each one to help make the next better. That's what I always say. I'm always going to make something better than it was when I left it, or help other people with their vision of improvement and process improvements for the betterment of who we serve. And so other things I've done is, helped on technical deployments of infrastructure, like at the Department of Veterans Affairs for a contract that I work for, and working with those teams and making sure that we have the hardware and software that these VA facilities around the world need to work and serve their mission. That drove me to diversify my skill set and going to the FDIC and just, everywhere I go, it's just my thing, because I always want to touch something different. And this goes back to, not being linear. I was my last supervisor, my last mentor, who nominated me for the program for the Senate, by the way. So shout outs to her. She always just reminded me, like, I have to do something. I have to do more. I need a bigger platform. I need to do this. Don't box yourself in. And I really took that to heart, even with working with her, and said, okay, I just want to do all these different things. I know I want to have impact here. I know when I call a phone service, and I'm now working for the company, I can give my insight because I want something to be better. It's just very surreal to be behind the scenes of, nationwide initiatives, legislative processes. It's very surreal. And so, yeah, it's very surreal. And I look forward to doing even more, even for the new work that I've started now, supporting, an executive branch or executive agency that I am doing now as a consultant, pretty much. Looking forward to that. But I think it's just surreal as a citizen to look at things as a citizen, then look at things as a professional, then look at things as a stakeholder, and helping to make that better and finding your voice there. It's something that I'm, that's just me. I'm in that, unique position. So hopefully that answered your question. But yes, my experiences have been vast, and a lot of things behind the scene. A lot of my work, and I even tell my students, so some of you guys will work and nobody will ever know what you do. A lot of things that I've even done on the Hill until it's time, nobody will know what you do, but that it is impacting hundreds of millions of people. And it might be just 2 or 3 of you, but you've impacted hundreds of millions of people. And that's the story of my career also, but it's okay with me, because I know people behind the scenes know, and ultimately it wasn't just for me to, I'm glad to, quote unquote, humble brag on it when I can, but it was more so for the benefit of those that we serve. So yes.
There's so much to be said. I mean, I could actually take the entire time just to just listen to all that you have to say. I mean, there's so much to unfold. I mean, based on what you have actually just said. And listening to you, there must have been some amount of challenges, some amount of hurdles along the way that you would have to deal with in terms of actually taking your career to the next level. Can you share some insight in terms of what are some of those maybe academic challenges, or, I mean, within the employment challenges that you had to deal with as it relates to your career?
So academically, my challenge was time, just time. So I would recommend it, being a full-time student and doing what I have done the last 2.5 years. I'm just like crazy like that. I'm going to do it because I believe in it. And it's like, life is a game of inches, famous quote. And that's how I look at my life. I had inches to and windows of opportunity, and I had to seize them. But that was me. And I always say prioritize your health for sure, but have some balance there with that. So one of the challenges was just figuring out what I wanted to do for school. I wanted to make it meaningful. I love school. I'm one of those people that could just be in school forever. But I love school, and I wanted to see how this would work out going for a more technical program, like with my master's on 4 more weeks. Okay. And I'm done. But how do I do that and then work and then balance all in between in my personal life? That was the school challenge. And then as far as professional challenges was coming as myself, showing up as myself. I'm me 100%. And, when I first started in the field, I'm like, there's a bunch of males and, where do I fit in? And then look at me. I'm always, very festive. And so it's just like, where would I fit and will I be accepted? Will I be, mansplained with things? And, will my voice be valued? Or will people just kind of push me to the side because of what I look like and then only take me at my word when they see it worked? These are the things that I faced, quite honestly. And I said, what am I going to do about it? People will have their opinions, people will have their things. And this is also what drives me when I do presentations, speaking engagements worldwide, and just to show you have to really believe in yourself. And a lot of my professional things started in the mind. It was more so, what are you going to do about it? These things exist. They may not exist in the next place, but what are you going to do mentally to prepare yourself? You're constantly researching, getting educated on things. Nobody can come for your intelligence. Nobody can come for you with that. You are respectful, you're kind, you give your best. Who can come at that? It's just like always building yourself up. And when you do face people or challenges or whatever it is, because you built yourself up so much, you can navigate different environments and pivot faster. And then you also learn one thing I share a lot. You can change when you want. You don't have to stay at a place, like this is not like my parents' day. You don't have to stay at a place forever. So once I realized that, and then there were no penalties anywhere I decided to move or grow, and my managers supported me, I'm very fortunate. My management supported me or introduced me to new opportunities. I said, this is a new part of the game that I didn't know. And I'm actually sharing with my own mom, and I told her, like, she's always so like, wow, I wish when I was in your age, I could have done this because I was interested in this or that. So I would say just getting into your mind, like tapping into your mind and deciding up here first, and then everything else will flow. That was that. And then now it's just like, I don't really care what's going on around me as far as negative things, that are especially not within my control. I am here for this purpose to do this. And this is a part of my life's work. And this is a part of, the company's success and then my teammates' success. So I have to show up with my best self to give to that. And then have that room to grow and have honest conversations to make sure that these environments are being, I can thrive in these environments on my end and make sure I'm also helping support environments for the other end. It's not just about you. And I see that a lot sometimes, like, hey, why don't you want to do this for me? And I want to get into cyber, do that. But it's not really about you all the time. You have to, share this experience and how people can help you. And then the way you pay them back, quote unquote, is your success and you trying or you taking that first step. And I had to really learn all of these things and like harmonize them together in my professional life to beat these challenges. Everybody's going through microaggressions and all these things, but there's a lot of positive too. But a lot of it starts up here, overthinking and, ruminating and just thinking of the worst situations. We have to do that kind of like internal evaluation too, so that we can make sure we're fully tapped in, to get ultimately what we want.
Awesome, dear. One of the things is that, and I want to get this question in terms of, it's all good that you have had all of this experience. What's the reality between having your garnered all of these experience versus what it is that you're actually learning, maybe within a classroom setting. How do you actually make that alignment? I mean, there are so many people, they might achieve various certifications, or they might have gone through a particular master's program or whatever the case is. And then when they get into the work environment, in many cases, they are unable to function the way they are supposed to function. How were you able to deal with that level of challenge?
So for me, for my master's program, I go to Colorado State University Global. It's an online campus of the school. And every single class I can say that I went through, especially when I was at the corporation, I did in the real world. So going over how to create a system security plan, I was doing it for my products, everything that school, the theory, you have to really make sure, and I don't care if you don't work in cyber now, build your home lab, go to a conference and do a CTF, anything you do, make sure it maps to the real world or it will not make sense. If you're not in a program that is really like, okay, you're going to get your security plus in this program, then you're going to do this, then you're going to do that, even with that, those things don't make sense into the real world. Right now, I've been in school and been super busy, but just for a personal accomplishment, I'm going to go get my security plus after this, and my idol. I just had to put it off because I was in school, but I was really doing the thing. So when I study like things for the CIS domains and different things, it makes sense because I've done it, I've lived it. And then definitely after working on the Hill, help writing these things and reviewing these things, it's like, okay, I've already done this. It's my real life. So you have to make sure in order for the theory to make sense, to build skills and then ultimately competency, find opportunities to get your hands dirty and roll your sleeves up, or else it just will not make sense. Because it's like a doctor. In medical school, they get taught all these things. And I'll even use my own self. I'm an amputee. So the amputation that I had was like the first of its kind for my doctors, in the area that it was. And so they had to come together at a orthopedic conference and discuss how to redo my hand for the rest of my life. So something that they could have learned textbook, and the textbook told them to do this. Now they're faced with a real world challenge. For us in cyber, it can be a hack. We see with the current situation in Israel right now, you have to be ready for anything, but those foundational principles was going to help you and give you confidence and give you kind of steering to help you do what you need to do in the field of cybersecurity. And so I would say, like, make sure you have the practical experience. Anytime you can get your hands dirty, please do it. I don't care if you're nervous, do it anyway. If you, when I went to that Adobe conference, it was like my last $600. And it's funny, I was getting ready to graduate undergrad and move over to Asia. So to just do some work. And I used that. And I was like, I don't care. I have to go to this conference. And then it's funny, like everybody started like, hey, here you go. Here's a little token for you to go. And that changed my life, but it also helps me with things that I do to this day. So make sure you go get your hands dirty so that you can really be like, okay, wow, like I see what textbook is introducing me to. Now I know how it probably really will go into the field because it is not the same. My textbook, I did a lot of stuff in the book, but when it came time to me being by myself at work and leading stuff and having to do new things and uncover and unearth things to maintain that we are doing proper governance and compliance and risk management and whatever product management and things like that, I absolutely had to take the training wheels off. The school is like training wheels. You have to take those off and get on the big wheel to be able to be successful. And like I said, even if you're doing home study, you're doing a certificate program, your community college, those are the places where you really have an opportunity to build your skills, a boot camp, anything that you are in. Make sure you can roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty to make sense of it all. Because if I just read my textbooks, I actually told someone, if I read if I went through my degree program and I had just entered the field and I just went to the master's, I would absolutely not understand what was going on. I would be able to write, and find articles and research, but I wouldn't be able to really relate to it. And that's the point of higher education. You have to be able to relate, and it can help your life, just like in PhD programs, it has to be able to relate. I know personally, I'm interested in pursuing a PhD in cyber psychology, but now that I've been in these different situations, like dealing with national security or just various things, like now I'm interested in like the mindset, the impact, psychological warfare, things of that, non-kinetic attacks. I actually posted about it on LinkedIn yesterday. So, but it's because I've had a lived experience in these things, and the lived experience don't have to be a cyber attack, but they can be. You see that your program is out of compliance and it can't pass to get its, can't pass the audit. You can help support that. And if you have the proper credentials and you get permission and your blessing from management, you can go over to ask, can you shadow? That's what you can do to help make sense of it all. And this is why, what you said earlier, strategic partnerships in your professional network are going to help you, because those are the people that are going to help make sense of your school too, because they have the lived experience and they can fill in the gaps that you don't have. And I really always promote that. And I try to do that myself where I can.
Great. You've actually been mention of so many important points in terms of actually providing that level of guidance, especially for those who are actually trying to gain that level of mentorship and support to navigate their career path. What's that? I mean, you might have actually said this in what's all of those wonderful things that you've actually said, but what's that one last maybe advice that you might have received within your career that has actually had some impact on you that you may want to share with someone?
I would say if I could pinpoint one thing is that you're ready. You're ready. When you crack open that book and you say, you have that intent, the strongest intent wins in this life. And you have that intent that you want to do something and contribute to this cyber field or just the IT field or AI, whatever it is. Hold on to that, because that's what's going to help you get through those hard days. That's what's going to motivate you. That's what's going to catapult you to the next level when it's, you don't really see the silver lining, but just you're ready. You're ready. You don't have to, I know you can look on LinkedIn and say, wow, this person did all this. We like to share the great things. You don't really like to share the struggles, but there are struggles. And so you just know that regardless, you are ready. Don't look and worry about what other people around you are doing as far as comparison, because comparison is the thief of joy, And so make sure that you just focus on what you need to do. You're ready to take the course. You're ready to email someone and ask them how they got started, and you're ready to be told no. Sometimes you may get that no or ignore or nobody responds to you, but that doesn't determine anything. You still keep going because you have a yes to get to. Like a yes is on your checklist and you have to get there. But you're ready to do it at any phase, in any career transition, any socioeconomic background, doesn't matter. You are ready. And that is what I was always told, even to recently, that you're ready to do this thing. You're ready. You just are, because you have something in you that has proven throughout your life that you can do something and you can do something different. And that difference now happens to be like cyber for us.
I mean, that's such a great note to end on. I mean, Jasmine, it was pleasure having you on our show today, and I definitely look forward to many future conversations.
I do too. Thank you so much.
Great. I mean, you've actually added so much value, and I no doubt for people that actually will be listening to this, then they will definitely gain a lot of value in terms of all the necessary experiences, insights, guidelines, I mean, that you have actually shared. No doubt it will definitely inspire. So I definitely appreciate all that you have actually shared with us today. And I look forward, as I said before, to many more conversations like this in the near future.
Thank you so much. And I do too. Happy to share and help any way I can.
Great. So everyone stay tuned, stay connected for future recordings on the Cyber JA show with me, your host, Richard Perry.